folks. He's a god of Asgard, son of the Asgardian king Odin. In addition to his Asgardian strength and extended lifespan, he wields control over the weather, including rain, lightning, like someone else that I care about. He also carries an enchanted hammer named Mjolnir and enhances his abilities to grant him the ability to fly. He's Thor, and he was our MVP on the first ever Avengers versus JLA over on the Magic Lasso YouTube channel. And you're here for episode 2. What's going on? We got Magic Lasso.
What's up?
Episode 2.
Dos.
We are going through the first original issues, the Silver Age classic issues of Avengers and the Justice League of America, partly because John reads a lot of omnibus and he's gonna get through these bad boys right here. So if you are a fan of Silver Age comics, you have found the right live stream series. This is where Ryan and I jump back and forth between one another's channels, looking issue by issue at how these Silver Age team comics launched. Exactly. We did issues number 1 over on Ryan's channel, and we looked at key things from those books, not key as in speculation key, but important things. The covers, the interior art, the storylines, those most valuable characters in the plot. And then we let you in the chat tell us which is the better book. This is not a competition between Ryan and I, or even really the Marvel versus DC. This is a reading competition, and you in the chat are going to be vital in helping us decide which of these Silver Age comics is the better book. And that's the challenge for you tonight. You're going to hear a ton of evidence. We're going to go through and discuss the stories. We're going to discuss the artwork. We're going to discuss the covers. And we're going to discuss our feelings about the most important characters in these books. You might even hear some hot takes, because I'll tell you right now, Avengers got crushed deservedly in episode 1, and Justice League of America was victorious. And I agree with that verdict. As a nerdy Avengers Marvel fan, I agree with that verdict. We will see, however, how it comes across tonight. How are you feeling after now reading 2 issues in on these 2 runs, Ryan?
I have lots to say about this issue tonight, or both issues tonight.
I was going to say, there's 2.
The stories couldn't be more opposite, really, kind of. But my feelings towards both are a lot of the same.
So some alignment going on. Okay.
Yes.
We got 2 homies in the chat already. We got Carlito Classico. He clearly has that notification bell hit because he was ready to rock and roll right as we went live, which means he should definitely click the link on down below and subscribe to Magic Lasso and get over there for his channel, because we will be back over there next time when we discuss issue 3. And then back here for that vital issue 4, where some new team members come into play on both these books.
He's done that already.
There it is. And we got Sheena, obviously, coming by with her Melanin and Manga YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to, because she's pushing her way to 400 subscribers. They give away lots of goodies, because I won some of these goodies. If you want to get into manga, which is something I was never given a chance to be exposed to when I was younger, get over there, hear some great things, snag some fun books, and hang out with Sheena and Inja. So you get win, 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 win. All right, so let's get into these books here a little bit, Ryan. You made a joke about the color of these covers.
Yeah.
I'm curious your thoughts here, and I will hold up the Avengers cover for you, and we'll start there, because this is on my channel this week. So we're doing Avengers, and sorry, let me get the dust jacket off of my omnibus here, so that you can really get into this yellow cover here.
But does it look like that in real life?
My copy certainly does not.
Yeah.
I'm a low grade. I'm a low grade is better than no grade kind of guy. And I definitely have some low grade, somewhat faded early issues in this run. So this is the book we're talking about, Avengers issue 2. You got the Space Phantom down here. He's kind of got a green glow around him because he is pretended to be the smallest version of the Hulk you could ever imagine. I don't think I would fall for the illusion if that's how tiny he made the Hulk look.
But you counterbalance that because you've got a giant man.
Right, who seems to be somewhere close to Thor's height, so not super giant.
But we didn't have a giant man at all in last issue.
So here we got this yellow cover. We got several characters in representation. We're still doing the typical Avengers covers of where's Wasp? Can you find her? There she is in the corner. I would love to hear your thoughts here on this cover. How are you feeling about this one? Or am I supposed to go first? I can't remember how we did this.
Doesn't matter. You can go first if you want. Well, I'll go first. You asked me, so I'll go first. Yeah. I'm attracted to very bright colored covers. So, and that certainly does have it. But the cover bores me. It just bores me. I don't know. I don't see anything that just... I like that all the characters are on there. And that's something you'll notice with the Silver Age as opposed to even when you get into the Bronze Age and definitely Copper Age and beyond. Especially in a group book, they'll pick 2 to 3 characters. And that's because they can't... Certain artists couldn't fit all the characters on one book. I mean, not everyone's a George Perez, who, if you ask him to draw, 6 characters, he'll give you 15. So
those are the rare talents for these kinds of books.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I don't know. It's not horrible. Not horrible at all. Just doesn't grab.
Yeah. I'm with you. And I feel like
Giant Man being on there, and they do pinpoint that he's the new Giant Man.
Yeah, they give you that little green arrow pointing at him. And this does a lot with primary colors. Obviously, there's a ton of red, blue, and yellow going on here. Yeah. So I do like the coloring. The perspective.
Yeah, the coloring is great.
The perspective is atrocious.
Yeah, and the perspective isn't the best.
As a self-proclaimed fan of King Kirby, I do feel like he is not bringing his A game to this issue for me.
And the Wasp looks way too big for what she should be.
She's the best drawn person on the cover, and it's kind of weird the way they put her in there. What's up, DJ Wise? Thanks for coming by and hearing us talk Silver Age comics.
How can this be the Wasp, though, if she's wearing the same costume 2 issues in a row?
I mean, she's clearly not complaining about it on the front, which is a rare moment for her, I think.
She's a little distracted during the story, which we'll talk about.
All right, well, then let's talk about the other cover.
Okay,
we went from cover yellow to there it is to pink.
So, yeah.
What are your thoughts on how?
Okay, when I look at that remastered, like inside that omnibus,
yeah,
I like that a lot more than I like the real life one.
Okay, what's the flaw you're feeling in this?
Well, it could be just my copy, because the colors are faded, and I mean we're talking about books that are 60 some years old right now. I do like that all of the teams on there, but this happens in the story, but this is a very small part of the story. Very teeny tiny part of the story that almost feels like an add-on. So it's interesting that was chosen for the cover.
Which I made that complaint or comment about issue 1 as well, where like I felt like the chess game was like a page and a half in this huge book with all of these amazing dynamic story plot points. I mean, I wanted to show me the event of the Justice League fighting the dinosaurs. That's what I wanted for that cover. It felt like if I had saw on issue 1 a couple of members of the Justice League fighting dinosaurs, that book's going home with me. That's a lock. You show me them playing chess with an alien, and I'm like, what's Batman doing this week? Let me find a different book.
So once again, I mean, it's a fine cover, but it isn't like last month where I was like, oh, this cover moves me, this cover excites me, this cover.
Sure,
it's an okay cover. Just the Avengers one was an okay cover, but neither one just.
They're not sucking you in. So for me, I like the commonality, and you mentioned how it's kind of funny how there is commonality between these books as we've gone along, already 2 issues in. The color work is the best part for me on both of these books.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great use of bright color. Characters are popping. They're not fading into the background. So for me, the color work is strong. I do like, as you said, this is an action cover, and you've got all the team members that are pivotal in the book. Obviously, we keep issuing Superman, Batman. This is more about focusing audience and new readers onto the whole crew and giving the big A-listers a little like back, you put them in the background a little bit.
Yeah, which they'd never dream of doing these days.
Oh my gosh, right?
No.
Absolutely different mentality.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Christina? So in that regard, I do think it works really well. I do like the energy of it all. I don't think I understand quite the pose of Aquaman. It seems a little funny. It seems like they cut him out from riding on one of the seahorses and then just taped him on here. His pose seems like he's very much like, I'm ready to ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, really solid cover overall for me by comparison to what I feel like is an art flawed Kirby Avengers cover. So for me, I'm voting Justice League on this one. Where are your feelings?
I really don't care for either one. But I mean, last month we talked about, okay, if these were posters, which one,
Yeah.
I wouldn't care for either one to be a poster,
I mean, at this point, I would still go with the the Brave and the Bold with the Giant Starro. Like that's still the best of all of them.
Put me down for Justice League.
Okay.
Not just because Wonder Woman's on it, because I will vote for Avengers stuff over Wonder Woman, as you'll find out as the show goes on. But there is a reason when we get into the art section tonight that I'll jump back to why I didn't choose the cover. There's something specific, but I want to wait till we get to the art section.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to go for Justice League on this.
There we go. Okay, so we're in agreement on round one. You in the chat, drop us your thoughts. If you feel like a certain cover was better, which issue 2 cover did you prefer? We're going to dive into phase 2 here. And phase 2 is the story. Let me add the story banner up here. So I'm going to take you through some of the basics of Avengers issue number 2, which is an odd sort of Avengers issue, in my opinion. Because the villain is a bit of an oddity. We meet the Space Phantom here. The issue starts off with the Avengers are now at like a team meeting. They're hanging out and they're having like their regular get-togethers, not because there's an emergency, as they mentioned, but really just because we need to get in the habit of getting to know each other. Got to get to find out how we work best together. And the team is just starting to not necessarily congeal, but just get to know each other. We've got Wasp, we've got Giant Man, we've got Iron Man, we've got Thor, and we've got Hulk, who definitely feels like the odd one out. And there's a few things he sort of says to intimate that he is just not feeling like he's one of this group at this point. Some friction is happening. Yeah. They're chatting and they're meeting, and of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Giant Man and the Wasp, are the last few to kind of show up. And as is my ongoing frustration, there's nobody more annoying than Janet. There is nobody. And I do believe, I even joked with Ryan. There's an ongoing comment about like, can a man write a female character? Can a woman write a male character? Can a straight man write a gay character? But X, Y, and Z. Stan Lee can't write this woman. I don't know how many women he can't write. He cannot write. And I will repeatedly say what I've said to White Whale Comics is like, I don't like Stan Lee as a writer. I do feel like Stan is not a great writer. He is a good like idea man, and he comes up with these amazing ideas, and he is incredible at marketing and all these kinds of things. But as far as writing dialogue, writing story, I just struggle with his stuff. And the way he writes Janet is like the prime bullet number 1 example for me.
And it literally starts as soon as she appears, because in this panel right here, which first of all, I don't know how Iron Man is sitting like that. But
it's awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
She says, I'd like to know that adorable Thor better.
Yes. Right. I mean,
and that's pretty much all she does in the entire issue.
Yeah. She's got 3 lines on the second page here, and they're all about vanity in one way or another. She's calling somebody handsome. She's commenting on how she likes Thor. She's complaining about the taste of the Pym particles they're using to grow or shrink. She comes off as a very vain struggle. And again, that may be her defining quality at this stage, but you've got one woman on the team and you've got to constantly make her seem, useless in that regard. It's kind of frustrating. But let's
Very
jump to the villain.
one-dimensional. Yeah.
Yes. We jump to outer space, and the Space Phantom is coming to Earth, and he has this ability to basically change the molecules around himself, and he controls his ship so that it looks like an asteroid and yet can safely land on Earth. And then when he gets there, he changes his appearance by taking the physical aspects of another human being, or a human being he comes across. When he does that, he sends them to the limbo or phantom zone of Marvel and sends them off, right? So that he can then assume their identity. And then he says that, like, oh, I'm coming here to to do the, I gotta face the Avengers. He's acting as though like they've been around for such a long time that they're like notorious. And he's ready.
They definitely have established that time has passed between the first issue and the second issue.
Yeah, but here he is acting like he's traveling across the universe now to face them, to take them out so that he can then conquer, right? He then, as this human, sneaks into the Avengers mansion, and when he does, or base, I don't know that they even have a mansion at this point. I think they're in the Stark Tower, right? Aren't they?
Yeah.
And as he's coming in, the security catches him, and they're like, "What's this human? What is going on with this guy?" Hulk goes in first to deal with this guy, and he instantly trades spots with Hulk, sends Hulk to Limbo, and takes over for Hulk. And now everybody thinks the guy vanished and that Hulk is a friend, but it's not. It's this bad guy. It's the Space Phantom. He instantly starts causing a ruckus by pushing people's buttons or literally pushing Iron Man, and kind of starts a bit of a brawl. And then before you know it, there they are. Iron Man, Hulk, Thor. They're throwing down in the middle of this place here without anybody suspecting what's going on. Hulk breaks through this, not Hulk, it's the Space Phantom breaks through the wall of the building and is out on the streets of New York, causing a ruckus. And the guy he had originally taken over is back on the street saying, I don't know what happened. I disappeared to Limbo and now I'm back and this is weird. And then the Hulk shows up and starts tearing up sidewalks and throwing things around, and of course runs into what's his name? Rick Jones. Yeah, member of the I can't remember what they call them.
The Teen Brigade.
The Team Brigade. Yeah. So it's like these teenagers who follow the superheroes of Marvel around. Specifically, obviously, Rick Jones and the Hulk are pretty good, close. And so he realizes pretty quickly this is not who I think it is, or at least starts to question what's going on, because when he asks Hulk for a ride, they go the wrong direction. And they're flying across New York. And when he starts to like question all of this, then we get the villain monologue page, which I wanted to just slap Stan Lee reading, because it's basically the villain saying, oh, you figured out who I am. Well, let me tell you my horrible plan. I am the Space Phantom, and I took the hook away from you, and now I'm going to manipulate you. And oh, look, here's the hook. I told you I did it. Oh, now I'm sending him back to Limbo, and I'll take over for him again. And now he just runs off, and he's just spoiled his whole plan to destroy the Avengers. It's seconds. He wasted his entire the whole plot of this is that like I'm doing this in secret to sow discord, but if I tell people what I'm doing, it's not gonna work. I'm bothered by this guy's scheme here. So, anyways, Hulk stuck in Limbo, and Space Phantom decides to go to the nearest military compound and steal missiles that he can then utilize in his deviousness. And we jump to Tony Stark. And this is my favorite Tony Stark drawing here, because you get his glove lying on the background looks like it's made of rubber. It just lays flat. It's not metal that you just like a gauntlet. So he just slips on his Hulk or his Iron Man pants and jumps over there to face the Hulk, who he thinks has lost it. And he's battling the Hulk, and he's doing pretty well. And that's when our villain realizes maybe I should be Iron Man instead. I'll send Iron Man to Limbo. The Hulk can come back, but I'll really sow some problems here. And I'll make a hammer out of the suit of armor, which I've never seen him like manipulate his armor in this particular manner, but he does. He makes a hammer and tries to fight with him. Meanwhile, Rick has gotten to his, radio, and he's trying to explain things and send the information out to any Avengers he can get a hold of. He gets a hold of Hank and Janet, and basically is able to kind of doesn't he explains what's going on, doesn't he?
He does, but he specifically asked for Giant Man.
Got it. That's what it is.
He's specific, and that comes back.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
So they dash off to try to catch up with this battle between Iron Man and Hulk. And they jump into the fray, Giant Man doing his thing, Janet not really doing anything. And instead, like, everybody is trying to figure out what's going on and can't figure out why they're fighting each other when they were just agreeing to be teammates not that long ago. This is a typical Silver Age story.
Yeah.
A lot of like, oh, we're friends, but we're supposed to be friends. Why are we fighting each other? I do feel like early team books in the Silver Age lean way too heavily on this shtick. And maybe it's a Marvel trope.
I think that's more Marvel than DC.
It drives me crazy. It's not a good trope.
I mean, trust me, in the 60s, the Teen Titans were like, hey, Flasheroo, let's get the Wonder Chick and head on down to the discotheque.
Which I'm way more down with. Like, yeah. So while the team is battling, there's a lot of side switching. Now the Phantom takes over Giant Man. And then he takes over, so he's trying to just sow a lot of discord by switching people out. And our heroes are left kind of like trying to solve this whole thing. Is there anything in there that you want to get into in any of this?
No.
All right. They're battling.
So
they're battling in, I believe, Stark Tower. Are they back in Stark Tower? There's some facility. And they're throwing around, trucks and machines and battling things. And finally, he takes over Giant Man, right? But all the news, finally, Janet flies off and gets Thor. She goes and finds Thor's buddy, Donald Blake, the doctor with the cane, and says, hey, we need help. Come and help us. She cons him into he says, well, yeah, wait in the other room. I'll go find Thor, because he doesn't want people to know his secret identity, even the people on his own team. # don't trust Janet. He turns into,
and she does say, man, he'd be real dreamy if he was a little huskier.
Yeah, exactly. What is up, Kenneth? We are nearly getting to the end of Avengers issue 2, thank goodness, as we do the story portion of Avengers 2. So Thor flies over to join the battle, where apparently Iron Man has basically created whirling jets of energy or wind, and he's manipulating Hulk and Giant Man. But we're realizing that this is the Space Phantom and not Iron Man. It's not Tony at this point. Thor gets into a fight with him, and during this fight, seems to be controlling a lot of the weather and dominating. This is when the Phantom says, you know what I need to do is I need to turn into Thor. That's what I really need to do. But when he tries, he's clearly no match for the power and magic of Asgard. And instead, his energy, his power gets manipulated, and he gets pulled into limbo despite his best efforts. And the team is left realizing, wow, that was a bit of a mess. I think we probably destroyed a little borough of New York in this whole process. And this is what is the tipping point for Hulk, because the issue ends with Hulk saying, peace, guys. Like, this, I don't think I fit in with this group. I gotta bounce out of here.
And then they add, he'll be back in the next issue.
Right. Because they mentioned the next issue is bringing in Namor. That's the final page in my omnibus. I don't know if
it is on the digital too.
Okay. And the hint being that, Hulk and Namor are together, whether fighting or teaming up in the next issue. But that's how this issue ends. As you could tell from my tone, not a fan. This one is easily the worst of the, and a spoiler, of the 4 issues we've read so far for me. Very frustrating. What were your thoughts on the story, the plot of Avengers 2?
Okay, even though it does get heavily used, but just looking at this for what it is within this issue, I
Okay.
do like that the heroes take question with each other. I
Mm,
do like that because DC wasn't doing anything like that. Granted, Marvel will keep doing that, and that's the problem. It works, so it
okay.
gets overused.
So you're saying it's possible that I am filtering this not through the nostalgia goggles, but instead through all the other reading
You
I've
could
done
be, yeah, maybe,
versus
yeah,
allowing this to be the originator of something.
yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. We got two friends in
I
the
mean,
chat
I mean,
here.
although with Fantastic Four and other titles they were doing too, they would have other characters interact, and
That's
they
fair.
didn't always get along there either. So I
Okay.
can't necessarily say this is the originator of it, but
We got Seasonal Shadow. What's going on? He says,
hey,
"What are your thoughts on Squadron Supreme by Mark Gruenwald?" I can say for a fact, never read it. I don't know. I don't even know what that is.
I
It's a
know who
DC
the
book.
Squadron Supreme are,
Okay.
and I'll tell you one thing: if the MCU was smart, they would cast Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, and
Oh,
Henry Cavill in those roles.
so Squadron Supreme is a Marvel book. I
It is a Marvel
even worse.
version of Justice League.
Got it.
So,
And what is
hey,
up, Bobby
Bobby,
Delegato? How you doing, sir? Much appreciated.
Bobby.
So we're doing Silver Age goodness here, and we're finishing the story for Avengers issue 2, which was a bit of a bumpy ride for me. Did you have any more thoughts here? Can we jump into Justice League?
Well, since I have to pull up it on my app, we have to stall for a minute.
I
But,
got it right here.
um, I mean, it's I don't know.
I did
I mean,
feel
I
like
read it. Would I be excited to go back and read the Avengers again?
I'm not going to read that issue anytime soon. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So Silver Age is a challenge for me, anyways. But that one it exemplified. Avengers 2 seemed to exemplify all the things that drove me crazy.
Is that one that you have slabbed or raw?
I have it slabbed. It was the
So you
first
don't
two
have to
Avengers
open
books
up.
were gifts from Steve Whiting because he knew how much I loved this. The Avengers as a team. How
That's a
much
good one to
that
have
run is
slabbed.
amazing.
Let's just put it like that because then you don't have to open it.
It's fair, right?
That is a good one to have slabbed. So, all right, we can get into. If you're ready, we can.
I am fully ready.
Okay. So Justice League #2, and we're starting here on the beginning with. I'm sorry, I'm still not ready yet.
No, it's all right.
We're starting with our typical splash page, where
Which they kind of give you something that like will occur later, like as a teaser almost.
Yeah, to me, the splash page is almost like a second version of the cover.
Absolutely correct. And if this were the cover, it would absolutely have won.
Yeah, it probably
It would not. It would not have even been close for me.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I like having it pulled up on my iPad at the same time that we're talking, even though that you're holding stuff up. And
Yeah.
for some reason, the iPad does not want to cooperate at all right now. All right, we'll do the best that we can do. So we've got this first page kind of showing
what.
What
go bigger? Would it be better?
No, it's fine. Okay. The other way is fine too.
Okay.
So it's showing, we're going to deal with something mystic here, something in.
We've got a wizard floating in the background, a cauldron, and all the Justice League standing around it.
Yeah. So then, as we get into the heart of our story,
we get a wizard, a magician performing in, where is he? The annual Magic Society convention.
Yes. And who is in the audience? None other than Green Lantern, not Hal Jordan.
No.
But Green Lantern is in the audience, and they acknowledge him. And this time, the magician says, I'm going to break the big cardinal rule, and I'm going to tell you how this trick worked. And there's a trap door underneath, and that's what brought the lady up. And as they go to look and investigate a little bit closer, that couldn't have been how the lady was brought up. How did he really do it? It must have been real magic. And then Green Lantern realized, well, geez, I can't even throw the switch on the lights. They won't go on either. And then at this exact same moment, all across the world, actually, all of these man-made devices are not functioning. Like the telephone is not working. Flash's costume won't pop back into his ring. The motor on the car isn't working anymore. And we see that someone's asking Aquaman for help because his boat motor doesn't work. And nothing in Batman's utility belt works anymore. And Clark Kent can't file his story to the Daily Planet at a telegraph because it's not working. Snapper Carr, he can't get the pictures for the school yearbook developed now. So the heroes are like, well, maybe our signal devices will work. I doubt it, but this is the time for the Justice League. And at the same time,
for those, there was a question in the chat. The writer is Gardner Fox, and the penciler is Mike. Okay,
Mike Sikowski. Mike Sikowski does the inks on Murphy Anderson.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep.
So there you
go. So
There's
we have
for Dave. Hello to Dave Enrique.
Yeah.
And hello to No Good Comics. We're talking about Silver Age, but I appreciate you anyways.
Yeah. Next time, drop an eggplant emoji, and maybe get something different. So we have Merlin, the magician, and he's trying this magical incantation, and the clouds clear up, the sun is shining, and they say, "What's wrong, Merlin? I hired you to bring rain so our crops can grow in Magic Land." And he's like, "I don't know, sire. I don't know what's wrong." And they start looking and trying to figure out what's happening in Magic Land when they're taken over by Simon Magus, Saturna, the Lord of Misrule, and the Troll King.
And they're rolling in like Mad Max style with like cars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Fury Road style.
Yes. So they want to use their combined magic to transport items of science to the realm of Earth, and then
magic.
No, of magic. I'm sorry. They also want to overthrow the ruler, the king, and his great magician Merlin. So that's their goal: is to try to become the head of Magic Land. So as we progress along in the story, at the Justice League headquarters, they decide they all were there and ready to meet, and they've all compared their notes how, nothing man-made is working anymore. Well, they go into their library, which Wonder Woman says we have all of Earth's knowledge stored away in our library. So she brings Snapper Carr in there, and they pull books from the magic session. And they start, thinking that they maybe need to do some incantations, like oil of henbane, powered bat wings, cat's whiskers, the mummified foot of a frog, and some of them feel a little silly doing this, but they say we got to give magic a chance.
There's some odd things going on here.
Yes. So they do this, and a sapphire forms, created from this magic formula. And they're like, well, now that we know the magic actually works, what do we do next? And Wonder Woman says, well, we summon, the mightiest magician of all to help us, Merlin. So they start doing this incarnation. They start mixing this brew. And Merlin appears, and he is shocked. He doesn't know where he is. He's like, who dares transport Merlin out of Magic Land? And they explain to him what's going on. They say our powers only work in the science dimension, but science is not working here anymore because this is all magic now.
So we're seeing that like science and technology versus magic and mysticism are sort of crossing between these worlds and having a lot of impact on all the characters involved.
Yeah. So he fills them in on Magic Land, what it's about and how it's trying to be taken over by these three. And so, they say, well, if we go there, our powers are going to work. So let's go there. Let's break up into teams and go after all the different ones.
Yeah. So the problem is in the Magic Land where technology, science, and our superpowers would function. And Merlin is now in their land where his magic functions in the Earth. So that switch is what stimulates the rest of the story. Yeah. I don't know that the Troll King and the Goblin Queen are related, but they probably hook up.
They could,
So then we get our chapters, right? There's like 3 or 4 chapters.
Snapper stays behind. Snapper's as he usually does. And he with Merlin, and
he's staying groovy, man. He's staying groovy.
Yeah. So he and Merlin kind of take off on a flying carpet as we get into the different chapters. And in the first chapter, we have Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern. And Merlin said, look for Saturna. He lives in the heart of the mighty rock cavern, but there's shock that there's this manticore and a griffin, which is guarding his domain. Of course, the griffin has to be yellow because that has no power over Green Lantern's ring. And so Green Lantern starts working on that. Martian Manhunter starts working, in the meantime.
He's fighting the Griffin, but then there's fire.
There's fire,
instantly.
which of course is his weakness.
Yes. Which we talked about as another classic Silver Age thing that comes up a lot. This idea that like your weakness will be instantly attacked in every issue.
Well, why wouldn't she? If you see that the one creature's yellow, why wouldn't Martian Manhunter make that his priority?
Switch. Yeah. What is up, Jeff? The Cantonese comic kid. What's going on, Jeff?
So in the long run, they're able to capture Centurna, and they're hoping that the other Justice League members can handle the Troll King and Simon Magus.
They end up working it out, each one of them, sort of supporting the other. And even when they get to Saturna, he tries to fire some like rockets at them. And Green Lantern uses the ring to make handcuffs out of the rockets and captures him, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yep, he does. So that advances us into the next chapter where we have Flash and Wonder Woman's team up. And there's these troll giants that are standing guard. And they're shocked to see them because they didn't know that they would be there. And Wonder Woman gets nabbed instantly. Flash starts circling around them. Yep. And that is causing them to throw off balance and essentially just fall down, and they don't exactly know what is going on or what's happened to them. Then Wonder Woman says, well, I'll bind them now that they're down. And Flash tries to get into the Troll King since the giants are kind of out of the way.
Into their castle, right?
Yeah, into the castle, but that is not successful for him. Wonder Woman says, she kind of comes up with this idea. And actually, I don't really remember Wonder Woman doing this before, which I thought was kind of cool. She uses her lasso and makes it almost like a tightrope. Yeah. And as she's walking the tightrope, she's doing bullets and bracelets at the same time.
Yeah. She's got all of her things
that's kind of cool. Yeah.
All she needed was to throw the tiara and she would have been all set.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, Inja?
And
so
when they get
issue
up
2 of Justice League of America for those joining us.
So when they get up there, that they realize first that they fought these huge monsters. Now they have troll dwarves, and they have like these little Tommy guns. Yes. So that's no problem for her. She towers over them. Yes. Grabs the guns, snaps them. She goes running after the Troll King. As she goes running for him. Yeah. As she goes running for him, he flips the lever and it's not stairs anymore. It's a ramp, and she falls into the secret cabin where Flash is already trapped inside. And it's starting to be filled with water.
And I gotta chime in on this because this irked me, as if there was a theme tonight of men writing women and making them look foolish. You have Wonder Woman running up straight at the Troll King, saying he's tricky. I must watch out for a trap. So we know she's watching for the trap.
Obviously, not very well.
Because the next panel says, "Oh, the steps folded up and turned into a ramp. I'm falling into the trap." Like she's like it. She says, I better watch out for the trap." Oh crap! Yeah. I'm in the trap. Like it lasted not even a panel for me, and I was like, "Come on."
Yeah, it's a good point.
You just said it.
You're right. That is a pretty good point.
She jinxed herself.
Yeah.
So, but then yes, they fall down into this room that starts filling with water.
Yes. So it's starting to freeze them like instantly where they're at. And Flash says, you just got to stay, you got to get into motion and that will kind of free your way out. And essentially with this friction he's created, he's also moved some of the water back up, which is hardened, and they're able to climb up like an ice wall. And Wonder Woman uses her strength to break through the roof, and, they're able to capture the Troll King.
Sure. Because that was their section. Now we've got the teams are 2 for 2 on capturing these minions of the bad guys.
Now we have Superman, Batman, and Aquaman. And they're all looking in different areas. Superman is taken to the skies. Batman has taken to the forest. And, of course, Aquaman's in the ocean. And
they're looking for
Simon. Yeah, they're looking for Simon Magus. And Superman's encountered with these horrible air spirits that he says, because they're magical. Magic is a weakness for Superman. So it's kind of bouncing him all over the place. But finally
not only do they have his magic as his weakness, What happens when he meets the bad guy?
Bad guy's got kryptonite. Surprise, surprise. And he knew about kryptonite. He knew he needed to have it. He ordered it on Amazon or whatever.
Overnighted, yeah.
Yep. And right as Superman grabs him and feels like he has him, he fades away, disappears, like right in his hands.
Yeah, Superman doesn't. The bad guy.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
The bad guy fades out into nothing.
Yep, Simon Magus.
Yes.
So now we cut over to Batman, who's looking through the woods when all of a sudden his foot gets grabbed by this tree branch. And these trees grab a hold of him and elevate him in all different levels. But luckily he has an emergency capsule for that in his utility belt. And that's able to free him. He sees Simon Magus. He goes to grab him. Simon Magus fades away.
Yet again.
Once again. So we cut over to Aquaman, who's swimming through the ocean. And he has been told by the sea creatures that Simon Magus is there, and he feels like this is too easy. Well, it is too easy. He said, Simon says, you may have control over my creatures, Aquaman, but gaining control over me is another matter. And he traps Aquaman in this net, and Aquaman's caught and can't move.
Which, for me, is a little on the nose. He's trapping Aquaman in a net.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what Aquaman does is he uses his aquatic telepathy to contact the fish, and they're very similar to piranha fish.
Yeah, Remora.
Yeah. And they go and essentially grab a hold of him and almost like hold on to him like he's pinned on like a clothesline, even though there isn't a clothesline there. They're like holding him in place where he's caught and he can't move. And Aquaman says, if you value your life, Simon, you'll pull the lever that will free me from this net. And then the fish, will release just enough for you to move your arm. And he says, well, I'm not like Aquaman. I can't stay forever underwater. So I yield my free arm to them. And he frees them, and Aquaman has a hold of him. And he didn't disappear on them. So now that they have Simon Magus, and the three heroes have been reunited with Simon, they have to go find the other members and then, get back to Earth.
Yes.
So that takes us to our next chapter where they all have kind of reunited. And what happens, that golden doorway from Magic Land to Earth, which they use on the cover, they see there's like this giant, well, it looks like a giant hand starting to come through, a blue hand. This monster hand is opening this door, and that's freaking them out. So they all try using their powers at once, which is our cover that we see, to try to stop this creature from coming through. And they say, what puzzles me is, if Batman says, what puzzles me is, if this doorway leads to our Earth, Wonder Woman says, how did such a monster get on Earth? So this has come from their Earth. And they're like, and the monster breaks through, and it's this huge blue monster. And when the monster starts talking, the voice sounds familiar. The creature doesn't look familiar to them, but the voice sounds familiar. And they realize it's Snapper Carr. And Snapper says, I was fooling around with Merlin's magic wand, and I guess I goofed somehow and changed myself into this. So I came to find you, hoping that you could help me. So Merlin suddenly appears, fixes him instantly, and Snapper's back to him old self, just snapping away by the bottom of the page. And, Wonder Woman says, I hope this teaches you never to meddle in anything you don't understand, Snapper. And he says, that's a real hip quip, Wonder Woman. I know the secret. Now you bet. And then as we get to our final page, it's been revealed that, so Simon, the reason was Simon, when Superman grabbed a hold of him and he disappeared, well, then he was instantly transported to the forest. So that was him in the forest. When Batman grabbed a hold of him, he disappeared into the sea.
Yeah.
Well, so when Aquaman got him, there was no place else left to go. So he was stuck there. He was like cornered in. That's why Aquaman was able to get him. So Merlin
Bobby says Snapper's mess was a bad juju.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Better watch out, because Snapper's going to learn some magic now.
Yes. So Merlin returns to Magic Land. The JLA returns to Earth with the Sorcerer's spell reversed. And he promises that those three evildoers, Merlin promises, will be punished now that he's going back to the land. And he says, this incantation shall be kept secret by one of my most potent spells. You won't have any trouble from us ever again. And then we have Snapper Carr ending the story, coming home to talk to his brother, Jimmy. He says, come on, Jimmy, I'll read you a real story out of this book. And it's a story of magic tales. And Jimmy says, oh, Snapper, stop kidding me. I'm too old to believe there's really such a thing as magic. Ha 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 ha. Incidentally, that's the first appearance of Jimmy, Snapper's brother. He does not appear again. And he does not appear again until like Justice League 111. So he has 100+ issues to go before we see him again.
And in the interim, does he like get like, robot arms or anything? Is he changed?
So here's my thoughts on this story. Okay.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated this story. The first time I read this, the first time I ever read the story is when I actually bought my physical copy.
Sure.
I thought, this sucks. So I reread it. I hated it again.
What was it about it that was frustrating?
Stupid. It's just stupid.
Just ridiculous.
Yes. I don't know. Maybe you liked it. I mean, I like the artwork. I didn't have a problem. We'll get into the artwork in a minute, but for the story, I didn't like the story.
I mean, I'm obviously a fantasy nerd. I like wizards. I like D&D. I like fantasy books. So the fantasy stuff didn't bother me as far as the magic. It did fall into some Silver Age tropes of like the clearly obvious traps and the obvious solutions that made it very simple and not particularly impressive. I liked that Snapper was given a smaller role so that the Justice League team members could shine a little bit more.
And he didn't save the day.
That I appreciated. Yeah, indeed. In issue 1, I had that part where I felt like it's a little too much Snapper. A little less on him would be good. Not that I mean, obviously we have had Rick Jones and Snapper playing the same kind of part in these 2 issues.
For sure. Yeah. Another similarity. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it serves function as far as an audience surrogate character, but I'm paying my money for the Avengers and the Justice League. I'm not paying my money for Snapper and Rick Jones.
Okay.
Unless it's the super freak Rick Jones.
Fair question. I'm Rick James, bitch. Fair question in the chat. That is a great question. If you were 9 or 10, how would you feel? I would probably just be out of my mind.
Yeah. If you were 9 or 10 in the 1960s, even more so, right?
Yes. That's a very fair point.
Yeah.
Very fair.
And I think that the challenge is in reading these Silver Age books is holding them to a modern standard is not fair, but holding them to preferences that we have as a reader are fair. But, it's the same as watching a movie by Hitchcock. I want to be able to at least put myself into the mindset of a moviegoer back at that time and not necessarily hold the special effects to a modern standard.
I just thought there were too many characters. It just kept going everywhere, and it didn't really. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I was frustrated by the ease with which they solved a lot of the problems. The Batman, Superman, Aquaman chapter I thought was just dumb. Like it did not work for me at all. However, the Green Lantern one I liked more, and the Wonder Woman one I liked more. So those 2 chapters were enough in that section to kind of keep me going. So overall, I enjoyed it. And my vote, again, is going Justice League. I thought it was a better story for me personally. Of the 2, the one that I would likely read again would be with Justice League. You're like, dang it, John, you're supposed to go Avengers so that I don't feel guilty picking Justice League.
See, the thing is, which one would I reread again? I would reread the Justice League one, but in all fairness, that was my first time ever reading that Avengers story.
Okay.
Was this week.
Okay.
I like, as we'll get to in a minute, I like the Justice League art, and I would go through that again for the artwork because there's some panels I really liked.
Sure.
But the story I almost lean more to Avengers for my story.
Sure.
It's just, even though there's some things in there that I'm not crazy about, but there's a lot of things in there I'm not the bottom line is I didn't like either one of these issues.
I'm in the same boat as far as like overall score would be similar, but if I had to pick one, it's half a dozen of one and 6 of the other. And I definitely carry baggage about Janet as a character, and
Mhm.
the way Stan writes her is nails on a chalkboard for me, and I struggle to get past it, and that's a personal thing. Like it's just she is so badly written.
Okay, so
There were people clearly in this time frame in the 60s writing female characters really well. Stan Lee is not it.
so help me with this, and maybe you don't know the answer to this. Maybe someone in the chat knows the answer.
Sure.
Was Sue Storm written the same way?
She had moments, but I felt like they gave Sue enough intelligence and integrity, and they don't care to do that for Janet. Janet is as superficial as a piece of paper. Like
She is your token female character we had to put
she's
in here.
one layer deep
Yep.
and only cares about her appearance, only cares about the appearance of others, only
Yeah.
is interested in commenting on the appearance of others,
Mhm.
and in that way. I get so frustrated when she's on the page. It's like, give her another dimension, something. Like, this is just exhausting.
Mhm. Yeah.
Versus at least Wonder Woman gets really well rounded as an interesting part of that team. She's not just worrying about, is her hair done right, or her
Yeah.
shoes matching, or whatever,
Like I said,
That's
I
a
really
frustration.
liked that when she tight roped and did bullets and bracelets at the same time. And I don't really remember that from many other comics. I thought she kicked ass there.
Awesome. I totally agree. Well, then let's talk. You mentioned art a few times now.
Yeah.
So let me switch up our brands here, our branding, and get into the artwork, because for me, I'm gonna start with Avengers, but I will say, like, I just want to flip through and point out how many times Jack Kirby could not be bothered to do a background, because it's constant. It's like, what I'm gonna do is just a big thing of white, a big thing of yellow. That's the background for this. Let's just do blue. Let's just do a big blue background. I can't be bothered to do backgrounds. And you can't claim that that's a Silver Age trope, because I'm going to show you somebody doing the opposite in just a second here. It is not a Silver Age trope. It's a Jack Kirby's probably too busy that month and didn't have the time to pencil backgrounds. So you're just going to get a big blue wall. And it is all through the issue. Let me just throw in a big white background, a big purple background, and that will be it.
You're right.
That is it. And it's all through the book. Let's just throw in one color, slap it on the background. There's nothing back there, and I'll just move on. And it's not even Jack, because I've read his Mr. Miracle run for DC. He doesn't do this all the time. I can't tell if he was just up against a deadline for Avengers issue 2, but I was shocked by how many panels are just a single color for a background, and that was all I have time for. And there are panels I really liked, and these are some. I love seeing the inside of this panel, the inside of Giant Man's helmet.
Yeah,
was
that
a
was
cool device reveal kind of thing. Let's see if I can get closer there. Was a cool reveal. And when Kirby gives you the time for detail, I really appreciate it. But this issue just didn't want to do it. This issue really didn't want to take the time. And I think that was my biggest frustration, is this was not Jack Kirby showing you his best work.
I agree
so
with
you
that.
You got a lot of just simple backgrounds. What about you? How are you feeling about the Avengers artwork?
So there's this panel that I'm about to show you.
Yeah.
When I literally saw it, first time in my life, the other day when I read this, flip this page, I saw this, I made an audible sound from looking at this panel.
Okay.
Because that looks like Count Chocula to me.
I mean, it predates Count Chocula.
It looks like Count Chocula to me.
Okay.
And what I was saying before, I said I kind of get back to this with the cover.
Yeah.
I can't. This villain has like no body shape.
No.
I don't know if he's supposed to be like the Penguin, where the Penguin's kind of round, but I don't even get that. I don't even get that impression either.
But he's got really square shoulders, and
and that's why I don't like the way the villain looks at all.
No. And again, the perspective is often off, where Hulk looks tiny, and the angle of it, the Hulk should be giant Hulk. He's not this little thing.
Mhm.
And there's so many panels where I felt like he just seems off. And that might have been just Kirby's way of drawing him at the time. But
And I
I
mean,
don't appreciate
this looks like Forbish, man.
it.
That's what that looks like. So
Sure.
I'm just not real big. I'm never real big on Flathead Hulk anyway. That's not my
I mean,
favorite
yeah,
Hulk.
that's a different kind of Hulk that I do agree. You have to either like appreciate it.
That's an acquired taste.
Yes.
But
Exactly.
once again, when I'm talking about the body of this character, I mean, look at these two panels here.
Yeah, those weird pointy shoulder pads and yeah.
Yeah. So, but
All right,
there
well,
is. I did not have a problem though finding a favorite panel in the issue.
Oh,
that
nice.
I really
Okay.
liked, and I'm getting to that right now.
I'm going to answer Rafit's question real quick. Yes,
Mhm.
as far as I recall, I've never read a Janet that was much different than that. Even if you go and read one of my favorite Bronze Age books, The Secret Wars, she's given the same kind of notes to play. She even has a romance with Magneto, and the big clincher that he does to romance her is he creates a comb for her out of metal so that she can fix her hair. Janet as a character, I think, was done for so long, so consistently that writers have struggled to evolve her in some manner and continue to give her a trajectory beyond this one-dimensional performance that she's often giving. So I think as a character, she has struggled to find footing because of how long men often wrote her as a character.
Yeah. So for my favorite panel, I came up with this middle panel here with the rain.
I
really
almost
like
picked
that.
this one. Yeah.
I like how Thor is positioned.
Yeah.
You really get a true sense more than maybe even any other panel in this issue of
Sure.
what's going down at that moment. That one is such a winner to me.
And again, a lot of detail work. You have the lightning bolts, you have the way the lines are streaking through the characters, Hulk, Iron Man, Giant Man.
See, to me, this would have been a cover. Something like this would have been
I think stylistically at the time it would have been too abstract,
probably.
But still, yeah, I totally agree. A much better cover. So let's talk about the art in the Justice League.
I'm always good with the art in the Justice League. I am. It's definitely much more cartoony, but that's the style at the time too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't like we were mentioning earlier, you can't hold it to a standard that is different than it is at the time.
So for my favorite panel, I easily could go with something Wonder Woman every single time because I just like the character. But
Sure.
really, I looked at something, I said, I kind of like this panel maybe even more than the Wonder Woman stuff.
Okay. Batman.
The trees grabbing Batman. Yeah.
Sure.
And sure, that definitely has Wizard of Oz vibes to it.
Sure.
But I still liked it.
Sure.
And it's a situation that you don't see Batman in a whole lot.
Jackson Crooks is the weakest episode of Omni X-Men. I know it's not our best work. Our best work.
So
that's a great one. I'm still blown away by this opening splash page so much that it's an easy, unfair pick probably because the color work is unbelievable. I love all the heroes in yellow. I love the green floating head of Merlin, the smoke in purple, the fire. I just love it. I love even the pose of Wonder Woman reading the book like a classic witch around the cauldron.
And they kind of revisit that in that.
They do. Yeah. For me, it works amazingly well. And you get everybody. You get a fun Superman, a Batman. You get everybody there. So I love that opening splash page.
Nice.
Fantastic. Yeah. Detail work. I mean, I could go on for days with how often they put in all these extra pieces of background work, all these extra pieces of color work. The detail in this book far exceeds. I mean, look how many books they drew on the bookshelf with Wonder Woman here. I think the backgrounds, the details are, the shadows on the wall for Snapper. I just think they spend a lot of time artistically crafting something that's very interesting. That giant eye, right? I just think artistically it's got it feels to me more time was spent, and it was spent well.
Yeah.
So for me, the vote is clearly Justice League.
Justice League, yeah, for the art, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're getting near the end, folks. We've done covers, story, artwork. We're going to have one last topic here. Then we will tell you how our scores came out. Although at this point, it's 3 for 3 Justice League. I don't know how the last category is going to flip it for me. You in the chat, though, you're going to be the ones to vote and let us know Avengers versus Justice League, which had the better book in the end. But our final category is MVP. This is the person in that issue that was the most valuable player. Ryan and I are going to try to pick the same one for Justice League and Avengers, and then let them go head to head and see which was the best overall. I'm curious. I'm going to let you go first on Avengers because I struggled with this one, and I don't know that I can pick somebody.
Okay. So here's the deal with this.
Okay.
I couldn't find one. I could not. I looked for one. I specifically looked for one.
You could argue Thor because he's the one that doesn't get glamored by the Phantom at the end.
He's probably the closest.
But I even then was like, struggled. Wasp. He probably was like Wasp.
Yeah, Wasp.
Hands down.
Yeah, it was the Wasp.
She does escape and get Thor, like go and get him, but it's like she needs him to clean up the mess.
And temporarily gets distracted because Donald Blake could almost. Because
Donald Blake's is pretty cute, but he's not burly enough for me, kind of thing. Yeah, I get it.
I couldn't find one.
I legitimately had the same reaction. And I felt strongly.
Then you know what? I think that's the answer. If we both
felt that way,
that is the answer.
I think if I was going to have to give it by default, it would be Thor. But even then, I feel like he's not in the issue a ton. He's just not in it, you know. So there you go. We agree. We do agree on MVP is nobody. Let's hear from your Justice League.
Okay, this is who I picked for. Remember last time on Justice League, you and I saw completely different directions.
Yes, we
on
did.
This.
Yeah.
My pick, and maybe this is the moment that you screen grab something with what I'm about to say, because who knows how many times I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Aquaman.
Ooh.
Aquaman. And listen, this is why I say that.
Okay.
Because Aquaman is like, I'm going to play dirty pool because this is going to get the job done. He's like, you free me or you're going to die. My fish have got a hold of you. You can't breathe underwater. I can wait this out as long as you need me to. I'm going to go Aquaman. Although I thought it was hard for a while I was reading the story to come up with an MVP for this issue as well. Okay. But when I saw that Aquaman, I went, no, I feel really good that I think that was his he was the shining star at that time.
I mean, I did like what Wonder Woman does in this issue, but I agree with him not picking Wonder Woman because I don't think she does enough. She's not.
I don't think she was the M.
If she didn't fall into the trap that she said she should watch out for, I might have considered it. But I'm going with Hal Jordan.
Why?
Firstly, I love at the beginning that he is at the magic show and is the first one to seem to be drawing attention to there's this problem and I got to get the Justice League together. Second, I like in the sequence when he is battling his monsters, Martian Manhunter, who has the superior power set, is worthless. And Green Lantern carries him completely in that battle with those monsters. And then afterwards, after he's basically gotten through it with him, they get fired on missiles. Manhunter's just standing there. He's just like, I'm going to use my breath and blow some air at this guy. Jordan has to convert the rockets into handcuffs and handcuff the guy to capture him. For me, like, if you had just sent Martian Manhunter and anybody else, that group fails. And Hal Jordan is the one that absolutely makes that portion work for me. Okay. Who is this guy and what has he done with Magic Lasso? So in a sense, I guess both of our characters achieved the same ends in their chapters where they were the ones, despite their teammates blowing it, that came to the rescue and achieved the end.
But what I like is still, and this is re-emphasizing what I said, I like that Aquaman essentially played dirty pool.
Yeah.
he's like, you know what? It ain't gonna get done if I don't take it to this level. And none of
Sure.
the other characters were willing to take it to that level.
Right. And I'm trying to get to the last little bit where they face off and they go through the doorway to see if there was a specific move that anybody did in that final chapter, but I don't see anything from either of them.
Yeah, I'm going to look too.
Yeah, it's really just the door opens. They're all kind of pulling on the door together, and then everybody's like shooting energy or slapping at the thing, at the big blue guy. So in a sense, they're both like coming off on par at the end. So I'm gonna give it to you this time. I'm gonna follow your lead with Aquaman, despite the fact that I would probably have independently picked Hal. And I'll do it because you make a good point that he does use his mind and persuasion skills in a way that nobody else really seems to. So we will make Aquaman our Justice League MVP, and by default, the MVP of the show.
So who would have thought that would have happened, let alone in episode 2? This might be his only time for this to happen.
That's fair.
WTG Aquaman.
Get him in now.
We got him in.
I don't know if he likes being in dirty pools, but he did play dirty pool, Bobby.
Yeah, he did.
So there you go. A clean sweep on my side. Justice League is the better book for me. You in the chat, I'm going to drop the start line right now.
Mine was 75% Justice League because overall story, I still went to Avengers.
You get to vote one time in the chat. Pick Avengers or pick Justice League. You've heard all the facts. Let us know which one was your favorite, which one you enjoyed the most, which book had the better story, art, MVP, everything, cover.
Yeah. So
I gotta say, this was obviously a tougher a month. The second issues of these series not the best.
No,
I'm hopeful. And I don't think I've read either third issue before. So these will be new. I've read the issue 4s for both of these, but it's been a long time.
I have read the Justice League issue 3, so I already know what I'm going in with that. I have not read the Avengers, but I'm familiar with the cover, so I have an idea of what should be happening.
And I know I know that Namor is a similar nails on chalkboard character for me, so I'm curious to see if this issue gives me more to enjoy overall for the character. So I haven't read a ton of Namor outside of like when he was on the Avengers way in the 80s or when he was running away with Sue Storm every other week on Fantastic Four. Which I don't blame him, but you get a hobby is what I'm saying, really. So far we've got only one vote in the chat. So you in the chat, you vote, you let us know. There are 7 homies in the chat. You guys can jump in there and give us your comments. You can also leave comments on the video after it goes posted. So you can vote there as well. We got 2 Avengers votes. We got Jeff and we got Bobby voting the Avengers for tonight. Obviously this is a tough pick. As far as issues that were not phenomenal, not noteworthy.
The word that I would use in common, both of these have in common, underwhelming. They're underwhelming issues.
It's accurate. Yeah, for sure. Jackson's going to say, I'm going to watch the replay and then he'll vote on the afterwards as well. So as of right now, we're looking at 2 votes for the Avengers and 1 vote for the Justice League of America. I'm very biased. We want your bias.
It's
we want your bias.
We had people that were last month. And they point blank said, I am a fan of this, so I will never vote against this.
Right.
But go ahead.
You've also been incredibly loyal all night, Rothfuss, and you were watching all of this. So you've heard the evidence. And you're in the jury. You get to vote.
You're not hurting either one of our feelings because this is not us against each other.
It's these books really against each other, right? Because I'm reading a lot of these for the very first time. I'm kind of enjoying this. So Toby's going JLA. So we're 2-1 at this point. We got Bethany in the chat. She was awesome last night in our chat. She's got a really cool, and I'm gonna get together with you, Bethany, for some tumblers. I'm coming up with ideas, but she has a whole store of products that you can get if you're a book fan, bookmarks, tumblers, all kinds of fun swag. So you guys got to check out her stuff.
It looks like JLA
Dave,
is starting to make a comeback.
Dave Enrique drops that JLA. Don Gustavo dropping that
Yeah.
JLA. Let's see. They were not good storytelling. I mean, yeah, that's fair. From my bias, it would be Avengers, but from what I've heard, I think I'd pick JLA. So he's going to go with JLA as well tonight. Submariner, he likes a dirty pool. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. So as I said, feel free to drop your comments after this is gone to replay so you can catch it there. As a reminder, this is a every few weeks kind of a show, 3 to 4 weeks every so often. Ryan and I are going to get together and do another Avengers versus Justice League. The next one will be, I'm evens, he's odds, issue 3 over on Ryan's channel. So you want to be subscribed using the link down below, and you want to be hitting the notification bell so that the next time we go live over there, you'll be ready for issues number 3. And then we'll be back in about a month and a half to do issue 4. So we'll continue this cycle.
And if you're new to our show, not every book, just because it's Silver Age, is going to be like tonight. Because I thought ours last month was really, we had some good stories to put against each other.
They were stronger.
Tonight just wasn't. Tonight was not a stronger issue night. But in a way, I kind of like that they both were weak. But when they're both weak, it makes it even harder in a sense too. Totally,
for sure. I saw somebody, Jackson Roy Kirk saying the Avengers. There you go. Yeah, these are big books. And if you missed, again, this is the 3rd episode we've kind of done because we did a kickoff show and we did issues number 1 and now issues number 2. But early on, Ryan and I went through, and I'll get rid of our banners here, I realize, and we shared our collections because Ryan is getting dangerously close to the entire volume 1 of Justice League of America and having collected it all. I've gotten 1 through 20 of the original Avengers run. And of course, I've got these omnibus where I want to be able to go and read them. So this was an opportunity for the both of us to talk about Silver Age comic team books and then get into kind of the minutia of what those books meant to us and what those books mean. Historically, these are very important comics. And it's kind of fun to go back and experience them again, Awesome. Well, thanks for the votes. At this stage, we're calling JLA the winner. We'll see how many people comment in the comment section after we're posted, and we'll see you guys back again soon. We'll be over on the Magic Lasso YouTube channel.
Looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Issue 3. All right. Ryan, do you have anything coming up? I know you've got your back issue of the week that just dropped yesterday, right?
Sure. Yeah, I got a few things going up. On Monday, I dropped the back issue of the week. That's a 60-second YouTube short on my channel. And the current back issue of the week is the Inhumans. Is the Inhumans. So that's cool. Yesterday, I dropped Comic Book Editions Volume 200. It's my milestone anniversary.
Huge.
And I did an unboxing from my friend Andre over in Brazil. So I didn't even know what was in the box.
It was cool.
He sent me so many vintage things, most of which I didn't even know ever existed. He sent me one item that is DC and Marvel together in the same book, which, nowadays you wouldn't ever see anything.
It doesn't happen often,
but, it's so cool, the stuff that he sent. So that is up on my channel already.
Awesome.
We'll have Fanboys Live and the Retro Review, the greatest DC comic show on YouTube with Signature King and Comic Food 2014 Sunday night on my show. I think our Retro Review, I haven't told the fanboys this yet. I think it's going to be Green Arrow. That's where I'm kind of leaning towards, is Green Arrow.
And obviously, when we get around to issue 4, we'll get some Green Arrow goodness in this storyline too.
So that's what's going on my channel. And next week, I'll have a A-OK unboxing from Silver-Haired Bronze Age Babe.
Good people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
For me, I had a live stream last night. If you are into fantasy novel reading, it was a lot of fun. We had our 2nd official ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, fairy smut reading with the Beards and Bourbon crew. And it was a lot of fun. And you guys can catch that on the Rewind. I don't know if I'll be doing a Saturday show. We'll see what the soccer gods have in store for us. But if not, I'll see you guys back again soon. And I appreciate everybody for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for watching tonight.
Yeah. Have a great night, gang.
Take care.